Ladies and gentlemen, this is a great day. This is an absolutely great day. I want you to go to hagoodman.com. Go to hagoodman.com, and you can see that the Federalist, because Mueller found no collusion, Trump should pardon Michael Flynn. I wrote that article in, let's see, when was that? That was April 2nd, 2019. Michael Flynn was framed so certain unethical officials could eventually set up Trump. Now that we know there was no collusion, Trump should pardon Flynn. Please read that article. Go to hagoodman.com. And because Mueller found no collusion, Trump should pardon Michael Flynn. H.A. Goodman, The Federalist, written in 2019. And today, President Trump has pardoned General Michael Flynn. Democrats and media have a basic problem, or a problem with basic logic. They are allergic to just simple critical thinking skills, basic logic. Michael Flynn was never even accused. Well, he was never charged with conspiring alongside Russian agents. He never did anything to warrant being investigated. And that's the issue here. He had to plead guilty to lying to FBI agents, one of whom was Peter Strzok, whose contempt and vitriol towards President Trump was so great that Strzok was not only terminated from the FBI, but he was removed from the Mueller probe. How biased do you have to be for Mueller to say, you know what, we can't have you here? So Democrats, for the past 7-8 months, have said, you know what, there has to be a reckoning with law enforcement. My goodness, there's systemic issues. But when it comes to James Comey and Strzok and McCabe, that's a different type of law enforcement. So the FBI, oh my goodness, they should be revered with what they did during the Trump-Russia hoax, absurd, nonsensical fantasy that Democrats created. Michael Flynn was named in a dossier that was purchased by Clinton. Where are the dossiers that President Trump purchases? Or where's the dossier that Jim Jordan or Matt Gaetz or John Radcliffe or Ron DeSantis or Richard Grenell or Louis Gohmert purchases that prompts the United States intelligence community to begin investigations on political rivals? Why is it that only a Democrat can purchase a dossier, and President Obama's administration can go ahead, utilize a dossier, and then gossip and hearsay from an Australian diplomat, Alexander Downer? And by the way, about a meeting over drinks, allegedly over drink, where George Papadopoulos said he didn't drink anything, and also the meeting was actually, most importantly, the meeting was actually taped, audio taped. He never did anything. George Papadopoulos was set up and framed also, big time. So was Carter Page. Who was charged or convicted for conspiring with Russia? Nobody. Everybody was, all the 30-plus indictments were process crimes. They utilized the United States government and the momentum of a media frenzy and hysteria among journalists and the Democratic Party, who were scorned and who needed retribution for losing to President Trump. And they delegitimized and undermined democracy by stating that Trump stole it with Russian help, which didn't happen because Mueller said the evidence was insufficient, meaning there was no evidence. He just had to claim, well, we had so much information and data and evidence, but, it was insufficient to charge anyone for conspiring with Russia. Hit subscribe right now to this channel. Let's get to 200,000 subs. We're on our way. We're on our way, ladies and gentlemen. We just got 5,000 subs in the past week and a half or so. So we're going to get, no, actually almost 7,000. So we're going to get to 160,000 in a couple of days. And let's get on our way to 200,000 subscribers on this channel. As my voice grows, your voice is amplified as well. So they would not stand for any official in President Obama's administration, or they would never have stood for George W. Bush, who, by the way, is the worst president we've ever had, that Democrats have tried to rehabilitate into this kind artist, this wonderful person who just happened to begin an era of never-ending counterinsurgency conflicts where lives are lost and ruined throughout the world. But they would never have stood for President Bush's administration investigating anyone associated with President Obama during the transition. They would never have stood for that. They would have said, no, this is not right. Dick Cheney purchased a dossier, or Rumsfeld purchased a dossier, and then there was like they have hearsay and gossip from an ambassador, and they began an investigation. They would never have removed Bush from the equation like they did President Obama. Notice that, well, there's no letter saying that President Obama ordered anything. Well, anything that takes place in the known universe is Trump's fault. And they link Trump to anything that happens in his administration. But see, that's the media. That's the deceptive propaganda tactics that they use. But here, Politico, Trump pardons former National Security Advisor Flynn. Michael Flynn pleaded guilty in 2017 to lying to FBI agents. Okay, to Strzok, and then there was another agent as well. But the text messages showed, we're going to stop Trump. We'll stop him. Peter Strzok himself stated, we'll stop Trump. But again, there's no amount of evidence. They will never admit they were out for President Trump. Because if they admit that, their entire fantasy, their conspiratorial, sad, pathetic, dangerous fantasy comes crumbling down. Trump never worked with Russia to buy Facebook ads, you imbeciles. That never happened. Don't ask a disgruntled, still deranged, Trump derangement syndrome Democrat, but you could ask them if you have to. What Facebook ad swung the election in 2016? They can't even describe the Facebook ads. Then they say, well, the DNC was hacked by Russia, but that was to inform the country what? That Bernie Sanders was cheated? They'll say the DNC was infiltrated by Russia, but they'll also say that Clinton won the primary fair and square and Debbie Wasserman Schultz was forced to resign, but that wasn't a big deal. So they're all over the place. But here, Michael Flynn pleaded guilty in 2017 to lying to FBI agents investigating Russian interference in the 2016 election. Outgoing President Donald Trump pardoned his former, so this is just an hour ago or so, a couple hours ago. He's fighting, but outgoing President Donald Trump, and by the way, most Republicans want a 2024 run. And they're going to try their best to prevent President Trump from running again. That's another challenge and obstacle that we have to deal with politically and peacefully. Outgoing President Donald Trump pardoned his former National Security Advisor Michael Flynn on Wednesday for lying to FBI agents investigating Russian interference in the 2016 election. There was no Russian interference. There was no Russian interference. Where's the letter from Putin saying, please buy these Facebook ads? Then there is none. So they demand absolute categorical proof. And intelligence assessment isn't categorical proof. Just ask the people who told you that WMD existed, or that the Gulf of Tonkin happened, or that the Bay of Pigs was a good idea. The wonderful intelligence community is wrong all the time, just like all the experts in the polling industry. Yet they should be revered. Democrats worship experts that agree with them. Experts that don't agree with them are quacks and should never be listened to. The consensus of experts that agree with Democrats, oh my goodness, you need to revere them. The consensus of experts that disagree with that doesn't exist. It is my honor to announce that General Michael T. Flynn has been granted a full pardon, the president tweeted. Congratulations to General Flynn and his wonderful family. I know you will have a truly fantastic Thanksgiving. God bless General Michael Flynn. God bless his son. God bless his family. This is a fantastic day. And what they did to this man was really a crime. He didn't commit the crime. What was done to him was a crime. Here's a veteran. Here's a man who, he not only is a veteran, he fought for this country in the past 20 years, more than that, and this is how the United States government treats this man. Because he was a national security advisor of an incoming president where they refused to transfer power peacefully. So I was talking about the fact that President Obama broke the tradition of a peaceful transition of power since Washington. Now, then they flipped it and they said Trump won't give Biden information or security briefings. Trump isn't investigating Biden or his son Caligula's laptop, which he could. And could you imagine if Trump did that? Could you imagine if John Ratcliffe, the director of national intelligence, James Clapper's old position, investigated Biden? Oh, they would never stand for it. But James Clapper can investigate Trump, no problem at all. These people are the most disingenuous, dishonest hypocrites, the most pathetic hypocrites on the planet. If they were ever given a dose of what they dish out, they would never stand for it. But here, Trump's move is an extraordinary intervention. I love this. On behalf of an ally. Oh, extraordinary. Oh, so extraordinary. Let's see. Bill Clinton pardoned a fugitive. This man was literally wanted by the United States government as a fugitive outside the country. But Trump's move is an extraordinary intervention on behalf of an ally who pleaded guilty in 2017 and has spent the last 2 years fighting to overturn his original plea. Yeah, because they threatened him. I love how Democrats and media have painted law, and I support law enforcement. I support law enforcement. I'm a member of the 1199 Foundation that supports that is a wonderful, wonderful organization that supports the California Highway Patrol and their families. California Highway Patrol does a great many things. It's a law enforcement agency, but also, I mean, if you get into an accident, heaven forbid, or your car is broken down on the freeway in California, and there's hundreds and hundreds of miles of roads and freeways, the CHP helps you. So they do a lot. They do a lot. The California Highway Patrol is amazing. Okay, I support law enforcement, but Peter Strzok. And I'm sure there's a great many courageous FBI officials and agents, but Peter Strzok tarnished the name of that organization. He's telling his best friend forever, Lisa Page, "Oh no, we'll stop him. Trump's supporters are smelly. They're talking about Trump being a menace." Andrew McCabe's wife is getting money from Terry McAuliffe for her campaign in Virginia. Democrats don't stuff people's pockets full of money, ladies and gentlemen. They give money to the spouse's campaign. When Debbie Wasserman Schultz resigned from the DNC, she worked directly for Clinton's campaign. You get a book deal. You get media propping you up, the Washington Post, the New York Times. If you're a whistleblower against Trump during impeachment, oh my God, you are an angel. If you're a whistleblower in Pennsylvania that said ballots were being backdated, the Washington Post writes an inaccurate article saying, oh yeah, he retracted his claim based on people we know. And then that night, Richard Hopkins, the whistleblower from Veritas and James O'Keefe in Pennsylvania that said he heard people talking about backdating ballots at the Postal Service. That night he comes out with a YouTube video saying, no, that's not true. I don't retract anything. But see, again, that's the way media works. That's why Lin Wood was successful in defeating the Washington Post when he represented Nicholas Sandmann. The media is a public relations. It used to be it used to have just a slight liberal bias. Up until the early 2000s, There was a slight liberal bias. There was even a debate. People would debate and say, oh, wait, is it really? Do you think the media is really biased? Now it's not only in the tank for Democrats, it's part of the Democratic Party. It's part of the Democratic Party. And that's not really hyperbole. It is part of the Democratic Party. Before reversing course, Flynn initially cooperated with Special Counsel Robert Mueller for nearly 2 years, including by providing evidence of potential obstruction by the president. The president didn't obstruct anything because he didn't commit a crime. How can you obstruct an investigation into a crime that never occurred? You sad, pathetic fools. Obviously, I'm speaking to Democrats. He sat for 19 interviews with prosecutors. Okay, they got Jeff Sessions on this, and Sessions was the worst Republican of all time. Without Sessions, and anyone who told you to trust Sessions had to be working for the Democratic Party. Without Sessions, you don't have a special counsel. They got a special counsel because they threatened Sessions, saying you spoke to the Russian ambassador and you perjured yourself. Meanwhile, Clapper and Brennan committed perjury. Nobody cared about that. But speaking to the Russian ambassador is not a crime. Neither is discussing an election with the Russian ambassador. But see, Democrats promoted a Red Scare, McCarthy-era scene. Trump had long been expected to pardon Flynn, pummeling prosecutors and the FBI for the handling of the case, part of a concerted attack on the investigation against him. See, look at how it's written. Just even Politico is actually probably the best of media that's beholden to Democrats. But I mean, it's actually the most objective. And look how it's written. How about part of an attack against those who set him up and framed him? Trump has falsely accused the FBI and Justice Department of mounting a coup. How is that false? This is opinion against him. Oh, because there's no letter signed. We are engaged in a coup. Signed. Everyone who eventually will be on MSNBC and CNN. I mean, it's like madness. But see, again, it's one of the obstacles. I keep talking about obstacles that President Trump and 74 million Trump supporters have to overcome. The media is one of them. The fact that they don't want him again in 2024 is another. The fact that they're going to cheat again in 2022 and 2024 is another. We have to address these and have a strategic and peaceful and legal way to address all these obstacles, because the future is bright. Democrats go 4 years. Biden got dominated and crushed and lost big time on Election Day. The only way Democrats win is by spreading out the vote and hiding behind the pandemic, when 7 of the top 10 states, according to the New York Times, in terms of aggregate lives lost and in terms of per capita fatality rates, are Democrats. And yet they pontificate the most. And when they get it, they say, oh, you know what, feel for us. When President Trump gets it, oh my God, you see, he didn't take it seriously. This is one of the reasons you have to tell your friends about this channel, because I speak Democrat. It's actually a language. It's the liberal language of pure propaganda. And unfortunately, I speak it. I was a Democrat for my whole life. I was on the left. I know how they think and they operate. And what happened to Michael Flynn was just a tragedy. But thank God he won. Trump also repeatedly attacked prosecutors and FBI officials involved in the Flynn case, even though he fired Flynn for lying to both the Bureau and Vice President Mike Pence in early 2017. That was the worst move from President Trump in the last 4 years. The second he did that, I was even still on the left at that point, and I said that was wrong. He shouldn't have done that, because had he stuck by Michael Flynn, so lying to Pence is like not even an issue. They made a big deal about it. Who cares? Secondly, we don't even know if he did, but see, that's who cares about that. Then lying to the Bureau, number one, it's not. That was a setup. They went and they met with him. He had a meeting. He had a phone conversation with Andrew McCabe. And then McCabe said, yeah, we're going to bring agents down for an informal meeting. Then it turned into, he didn't know that they were investigating, nobody knew that the FBI had this massive investigation. And furthermore, the DNC being infiltrated and hacked is not national security. The DNC is a private entity. It's not national security at all. It's a private entity. So what they did is they said, "Oh my God, the sky is falling. This is the end of democracy." This is what they did, what the early 2000s Republicans used. That's their playbook. Semantics. They said democracy equals their electoral chances. Whether they win or not is synonymous with democracy. This is how Democrats think. Democracy dictates that they can lose with no and without any consequences. No political retribution. But see, again, they're the ones who tarnish democracy. But here, though the pardon was long in the making, Trump allowed Flynn's legal drama to play out for more than 3 years. So, I mean, honestly, the president should have pardoned him last year or 2 years ago. But again, nothing that Trump did would have been everything. And Adam Schiff is still saying that, oh yeah, he worked with Russia, his contacts with Russia. This is like a Pavlovian response Democrats have. When they hear the word Russia, when they hear the word contacts, when they hear the word interference, they have this Pavlovian response. They start salivating. And they say, you see, hey, they stole it from us. And then if you question anything to do with this election, oh my God, how dare you? You're hurting democracy. I mean, these people have no shame. And then Adam Schiff today, Donald Trump has repeatedly abused the pardon power. Yes, tell that to Bill Clinton, to reward his friends and protect those who covered up for him. Covered up for what? Mueller found nothing. This time he pardons Michael Flynn, who lied to his dealings with the Russians. What's dealings? See, again, this is the Pavlovian dealings with Russians? What dealings with Russians? What dealings with the Russians? He wasn't charged on any dealings with the Russians. He wasn't charged on any dealings with the Russians. So, it's no surprise that Trump would go out as he came in, crooked to the end. Crooked? And then Jim Jordan, exactly. God bless Michael Flynn. And then this is hilarious. This is one. Michael Flynn was a paid foreign asset of the Turkish government. Not when he was in government. Not when he was in government. So even the judge in the case, Judge Sullivan, stated that wasn't the case. So that's false. Not when he was in the United States government, because he wasn't charged for being a foreign asset. See, again, he was only charged for lying to Michael Flynn or to Peter Strzok. But that is irrelevant because he did nothing wrong. And what the FBI did is they just said, okay, let's have a conversation. Anything that it was a conversation where they said, oh, he lied to us. But there was no specific crime. And we don't even know what the conversation was about. Anyway, give me your thoughts below. It's pretty interesting. And I wrote about this. This is the article I wrote. As for how McCabe, Strzok, and FBI lured Flynn into a meeting, Byron York explains in the Washington Examiner that Trump's national security advisor wasn't even told to bring a lawyer. McCabe, who arranged the Bureau's interview with Flynn at the White House on January 24, 2017, the interview that ultimately led to Flynn's guilty plea on one count of making false statements, suggested Flynn not have a lawyer present at the session, according to newly filed court documents. This is not a peaceful transition of power. In addition, FBI officials, along with two agents who interviewed Flynn, decided specifically not to warn him that there would be no penalties. And by the way, McCabe and Comey have both stated he didn't lie. Decided specifically not to warn him that there would be penalties for making false statements because the agents wanted to ensure Flynn was relaxed. Under the guise of a friendly discussion, and after having already reviewed Flynn's calls with Kislyak, so that's right. He had a FBI agents engaged in a brazen attempt at deceiving a top official. That's right. So Sergei Kislyak, that's right. He had a phone conversation where they found no collusion. They set him up and framed him on a conversation he had with Kislyak, the Russian official, and an incoming national security advisor can have this conversation. Or a national security advisor can have this conversation on issues that would benefit the United States of America. If you don't think it would, that's your opinion. But President Trump won that election, so his foreign policy goes. Just like, unfortunately, Biden's foreign policy would be more militant and engage in even more interventions. Hopefully not, but... So they got him on a phone conversation that they actually already had the transcript to. There was nothing. They got him on lying about a conversation he knew was taped, and a conversation that had no criminal conduct. This is how nefarious the people against President Trump and Michael Flynn were. It's unbelievable. And then we're supposed to revere the process of government. They hide behind this reverence and this worship of government when they're in government or when they're trying to undermine government officials they don't like. Then when they're in government, they say, oh, my goodness. When Trump is leading the country, oh, my goodness, we don't like this man. So it's funny. They're all over the place. They have no value system. Their only goal is to just attain political power by any means necessary. That's what and the Democrats, look, they'll very likely be very successful this election. They covered up Biden's son, Caligula, his computer. They were successful in doing that. The majority of the country didn't really understand what took place. And they propped up this man. Biden did not win anything. The machine almost certainly won. And the next 4 years has to be investigating every one of the 400 affidavits. And every one of the 12,000 plus incident reports. And you have to peacefully and legally and morally get Mitt Romney and Ben Sass to either fall in line, or those types of people, Richard Burr. The biggest adversary that 74 million Trump supporters have politically is not Pelosi. It's not AOC, it's not Clinton, it's not Biden. The biggest adversary is Republicans who fall in line behind Biden and Clinton and who allowed all of this to take place, who allowed a special counsel, who allowed Democrats to get away with what is almost certainly rampant cheating. You need Jim Jordan, Matt Gaetz, Ron DeSantis in Florida. You need Richard Grenell. You need Ronna McDaniel. She's fantastic. Kayleigh McEnany. This is the future of the Democratic Party. Jim Jordan, Ronna McDaniel. This is the future. Representative Comer. The notion that Trumpism is a bad thing is hilarious when you look at what President Obama did to Libya. Just really quickly, what did President Trump do to deserve such vitriol aside from just defeating Democrats? President Obama literally caused the country with a failed NATO intervention to just turn into a failed state, Libya. And then you have Bush, who was on Jimmy Kimmel. I was watching this is years back. It's on YouTube, and I'm like the respect that they have for this man, it's unbelievable, and the disrespect they have for Trump just because of tweets. Bush started an era of never-ending counterinsurgency conflicts and military quagmires that have ruined the lives of an untold number of people, like millions upon millions of people, not only in this country, affected the lives negatively, but even a lot more in other countries. And he is propped up by Democrats. And they say, well, at least it's a good human being. What? You're a good human being if you actually destroy a country or numerous ones because of your political decisions or because of your foreign policy? And we can go on for, they blame the pandemic on Trump and they give New York's governor a free pass. I mean, these people are like, the basic logic, if they don't live within this hyperbolic, apoplectic echo chamber, they don't have a political party. Anyway, give me your thoughts below. This is a fantastic day. God bless Michael Flynn. I wrote that he should be pardoned in 2019, and he's pardoned today. Be here at 9 p.m. Pacific this evening for the best late evening live stream in all of YouTube. Thanks, everybody. This is absolutely amazing. Thank you.